Getting started with the SAS program. Introduction to the SAS program. In this chapter we are going to learn the introductory part and how to run a SAS program, the fundamental concepts of SAS programming. So let's see in a SAS program. So in a SAS program there are two steps. One step is known as data step and next step is known as proc step. So whatever it may be, the inside of this particular program, right at this moment, don't look out this. So you just check, there are two parts. One is starting with the data, one is starting with the proc. So data step is starting with all its data and proc step starting with the proc step, proc procedure. So these are the two steps. In a SAS program there are only two steps. One is data step and another is proc step. Now step boundaries. SAS steps begins with a data statement always, as I have seen in my last program. So SAS step begins with a data step and ending with a run, right? And then again proc step, then ending with a run. So these are known as step boundaries. So data statement or proc statement. SAS detects the end of a step when it encounters. So a run statement for most steps. So we are ending any step with the run statement. And a quit statement, some of the procedures we are using, for some of the procedures we are using the quit statement. The beginning of another step is date statement or proc statement. So now we can see here in this particular program step boundaries, how it looks like. So data is starting with this particular first arrow and ending with this arrow. This is with the run. So this is a one step, right? This is a one step boundaries. Another proc and run. This is another step boundaries. Again we are getting the proc and run. This is another step boundaries. So this is called step boundaries when we are running a SAS program. So running a SAS program. Invoke the SAS system and include the SAS program into your session. Submit a program and browsing the results we will see. So immediately after this particular presentation, I will show you how to create your SAS University account and access the SAS Studio, because entire program will work with the SAS Studio. So in SAS Studio, how we can run and what are the different components are there in SAS Studio, so that we will immediately show you. I will give you a data set. You have to upload the data set, and also you will work the course data with the course data. The different projects and case studies and all the exercises will be based on that course data only. So now in submitting a SAS program, when we are writing a SAS program, there are three windows, basically three code window. One window is called code window, and there is log window, and there is output window. In the code window, we are typing all the code, all the program code. In the log window contains the information about the processing of the SAS program. So if you have any errors or any syntax errors or any warnings, so you can see over there in the log window. And SAS output contains the report generated by the SAS procedures and data step, right? So now mastering fundamental concepts. Here in this particular chapter we will learn that define the components of the SAS datasets, define a SAS variable, identifying the missing value and SAS data sets and variables, explain SAS syntax rules, and investigate a SAS dataset using the contents and print procedure. So let's see how we can fetch the data by data entry or from any external file or from any other software file. Then there is a conversion process. The conversion process is creating a SAS dataset, which is a structured data file. So in a dataset there are two parts. One part is called descriptor portion, one part is called data portion. In the descriptor portion, we can view the different components, that is when this particular dataset created, what version, what engine we are running, how many observations are there, how many variables are there, and all about that particular dataset we can see in the descriptor portion. And in the data portion, how many observations are there, that means what are the data values are there, right? So we can see how many observations. So observations generally rows and variables are in generally columns. So variable name and the observations we can view in the data portion with a obs, that is observation column. So now SAS dataset must be in the form of SAS dataset to be processed by many SAS procedure. Some data step statements say a SAS program is a file that contains a SAS code, right? So whenever we are typing any code in the code window, we can save that particular program file. That is a program file, right? That is containing only the code of my SAS program. And SAS dataset is a different set file, different thing. So SAS dataset is a specially structured file that contains the data values, right? So I will show you, this is a descriptor portion of a particular sample descriptor portion. I will show you live with the SAS Studio after creating our account. So SAS in a SAS descriptor or dataset descriptor portion, you can see the dataset name, dataset level, date and time created, storage information, number of observations, information for each variable, name, type, length, position, format, informat, label, everything, right? Now the descriptor portion of the SAS dataset contains the general information about the SAS dataset, such as dataset name and the number of observations, variable attribution, name, type and length, position, format, labels. So many things are there. So all we can see in the descriptor portion. There is a command called contents. The contents procedure display the descriptor portion of a SAS dataset. So now here you can see we are having a dataset that is known as stuff. So we want to see the descriptor portion. To see the descriptor portion of that particular stuff dataset, we will use the proc contains procedure. So how we can use the proc contains procedure and what is all about the work, that is a library, right? That is a temporary library that we will discuss in our later chapter. Now we just understand the SAS dataset data portion. In a dataset data portion, you can see in the first in the topmost there are variables name. These are the variable names, right? Last name, first name, job title, salary. These are variables, and these are the variable values. All the variable values are known as these observations, right? These are observations. One single row is one observation, another single row is another observation. So if you are going to consider this particular observation, so how many observations are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 observations are there and 4 variables are there, right? So now these are the character values, and these are the these are all the character values, and these are the numeric values. So SAS having the two type of variables, one is character type, another is numeric type. I will discuss later on about more details about it. Now, so there are two types, as I discussed you, that there are two types of values. One is contains any value, that is character value, letter, number, special character, these are alphanumeric values, and blanks character values are stored with a length of 1 to 32,767 bytes, and 1 byte equals to 1 character. In case of numeric value, stored as a floating point number in 8 bytes of storage by default. And 8 bytes of floating point storage provides space for 16 to 17 significant digits. So you are not restricted to 8 digits. So these are the two only types of types are available in SAS. So down the line we can see how these character and numeric type is working with the SAS system. So this is very important to know, that because this particular program curriculum what I am going to deliver, that is for the SAS global certification. So I ask you to understand and go through all the videos properly, and each and every point if you are interested to appear for the SAS global certification. Now, so SAS dataset variable names, how we can give the name of a variable, right? So there are some rules for naming, right? Can be 32 character long, can be uppercase, lowercase or mixed case. Must start with a letter or underscore. Subsequent characters can be letters, underscores or numeric digits. So this is all about the naming rules for the SAS, but there are some previous versions rules, so you can study this thing. I will share this particular contents to in the download folder. You can download it, right? Now here the valid SAS name, you can see there are few names there which is not following, names are there which are not following the SAS validity, right? SAS rules say 5 space week space data. There is no space is not accepted by the SAS system, right? And even we cannot use the say if you see that is we can see can be uppercase, lowercase or mixed case. Must start with a letter, underscore or subsequent character, can be letters, underscore or numeric digits, right? So now here in version 6 and earlier data set, variable names can only be maximum 8 characters long. Starting with a version of 8, the special characters can be used data set and variable names if you put the name in quote followed by immediately by a number of letter n. Example, say class flight #n, right? In order to use the special character in variable names, the valid var name option must be set to any. Example of option valid var name is equal to any. So then we can use this any, right? So there are some valid SAS names. Now we can see the how SAS date value is going to work. So SAS is going to work with, because as you know we have the I already discussed that is SAS having the only 2 types of variable. First is one is character, one is numeric. There is no separate variable type that is called a date type, right? So SAS always store the date as a numeric value. How it is storing? It is a very interesting part of it. That is SAS storing the name from the 1st January 1960 to onwards any date. In between that, how many days are there that going to store? So if I'm going to consider 1st January 1960 to 1st January 1960, so there are 0 dates. And if it is I'm going to consider 1st January 1960 to 1st January 1961, so it is going to store 360 days. And if I'm going to consider 1st January 1960 to minus, I mean in backwards, 1st January 1959, then it will show you the minus 365 days. That means SAS is going to store the number of days in between the 1st January 1960 to any days. So if it is today value, so it will just calculate that how many days are in between from 1st January 1960 to 2 days. So if we are going to consider tomorrow or day before tomorrow or any date 100 years back, 200 years back, so whatever the date values are there, SAS will always the benchmarking date is 1st January 1960, and from that it will calculate the number of days and it will store the value inside of the date variables, right? So here another thing is the missing data values. So a value must exist for every variable for each observation. Missing values are valid value. In case of SAS, if you can see there are some missing value in a character variable, so that particular variable will be showed that value will be shows a character missing value is displayed as blank, right? So a numeric display missing value is displayed as dot. So if I have, it's a valid value, SAS is considering as a valid value, and if I am going to consider, I want to see that if there are some missing value for the character variable, there is a blank one, no, nothing will show you. But in case of dot, if you can see that there is a dot in your numeric variable, so it is a numeric value, missing value, right? Now, browsing the SAS data portion. The print procedure displays the data portion of a SAS dataset, and by default the proc print display all observations, all variables and ops column on the left side, right? So now here the browsing the data portion. The general form of the print procedure, it is a proc print data. Say our library name is work and dataset name is staff. So in our next chapter I will discuss about more about the library, how to create the library, what about this work library, right? So work.staff, just try to understand this thing, that staff is the dataset name. I want to browse that particular dataset. I want to see what are the data portion of that particular dataset. So if you run this program, you can see that These are the what are the variables are there inside